The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the environmental systems. Around the massive oval table sat representatives from 63 different species. Each ambassador wore the formal attire of their homeworld. Some had scales, others had fur, and several had features that humans would find hard to describe. At one end of the table sat Ambassador Jack Morrison. His dark suit looked plain compared to the colorful robes and elaborate decorations worn by the other delegates. His face showed no emotion as he stared at the pile of documents in front of him. For 3 years, Jack had attended these meetings. 3 years of endless discussions. 3 years of bureaucratic procedures. 3 years of watching human colonies burn, while alien diplomats argued about the proper way to respond. The Council recognizes Ambassador Zixitheta, announced the automated voice system. The tall reptilian figure rose from his seat. His green scales caught the artificial light as he adjusted his ceremonial collar. Fellow representatives, we must now discuss the proposed amendment to Resolution 4472B regarding the proper channels for filing grievances against aggressive species actions. Jack's jaw tightened. Another discussion about procedures. Meanwhile, reports from the frontier confirmed that 3 more human colonies had fallen to Krell attacks in the past week alone. A 4-armed ambassador from the Varathi Empire raised one of her hands. I wish to add a sub-amendment regarding the classification of what constitutes aggressive action versus defensive positioning. Excellent point, Zixitheta replied. We should form a committee to study this classification issue. Jack slowly stood up. His chair scraped against the floor, the sound echoing in the vast chamber. Every alien eye turned toward him. Ambassador Morrison? Zixitheta's voice carried a note of surprise. You wish to contribute to this discussion? No, Jack said quietly. I don't. He began gathering his documents, sliding them into his briefcase with deliberate movements. The simple action seemed to disturb the other delegates more than any angry outburst could have. Ambassador Morrison, is something wrong? Asked Zixitheta. Jack closed his briefcase with a sharp click. 3 years ago, humanity joined this council with hope. We believed in your systems. We trusted your processes. We followed your rules. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative. And while we debated, while we filed forms, while we attended committee meetings, humans died. Our colonies burned. Our children were taken by slavers. Our ships were destroyed by pirates. The council has procedures, began the Varathi ambassador. Your procedures, Jack interrupted, have cost us 23 colonies, 47,000 human lives. Children, ambassador. Families. People who trusted Earth's government to protect them. People who believed in the Great Galactic Council. Zixitheta's scales shifted to a darker shade of green, a sign of discomfort. These matters are complex. The Krell situation requires careful diplomatic. The Krell are attacking our worlds, Jack said. There's nothing complex about it. They attack, we ask for help, you form committees, they attack again, we file complaints. You debate jurisdiction. The chamber fell silent. Several ambassadors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Jack straightened his tie. This concludes Earth's participation in these proceedings. You cannot simply withdraw from the council, exclaimed Ambassador Kretok of the Varathi Empire. His forearms spread wide in a gesture of shock. There are protocols, procedures. We can, and we are. Jack picked up his briefcase. Earth is no longer interested in your protocols. We're not interested in your procedures. We're not interested in your committees or your resolutions or your endless debates. But what will you do? Asked Ambassador Tivara, representing the Celestial Harmony. Her feathered crest fluttered with concern. Jack walked toward the exit, then paused at the doorway. What we should have done from the beginning, we'll defend ourselves. Wait, Zixitheta called out. You must understand we have rules for a reason. Without proper diplomatic channels, without agreed-upon procedures, there could be chaos. Wars could break out across the galaxy. Jack turned back to face the council one last time. Wars are already breaking out, Senator. Your rules aren't preventing them. They're just preventing us from fighting back. If you act outside our authority— What authority? Jack asked quietly. The authority that let the Krell take our outer colonies? The authority that couldn't stop the Vex pirates from raiding our trade routes? The authority that spent 6 months debating whether the enslavement of human colonists was technically a violation of sentient rights? Several ambassadors looked away, unable to meet his gaze. Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council effective immediately. We will defend our people. We will protect our colonies, and we will do it without your permission. As Jack left the chamber, Ambassador Tavara spoke up. The humans can't survive alone. No species can stand against the combined threats of the galaxy without council support. Zix Theta watched the door close behind the human ambassador. I fear, my dear Tavara, that we're about to discover whether that's true. In the hallway outside, Jack activated his communicator. Control, this is Morrison, send the message. Confirmed, Ambassador. Sending now. Across human space from Earth to the farthest colonies, encrypted transmissions activated hidden systems. Shipyard doors opened in asteroid fields. Underground factories powered up. Reserve fleets emerged from dark space where they had been, waiting in silence. Back in the council chamber, the first reports began arriving. Ambassador Kreetak's communication device chirped urgently. He read the message, his purple skin turning pale. What is it? Demanded Zix Theta. The humans? Kreetak's voice shook. They're mobilizing. Fleets. Massive fleets. Where did they get such ships? On the view screen, images appeared of human warships emerging from hidden bases. These weren't the small patrol craft the Council had approved. These were battleships, carriers, and destroyers that rivaled anything in known space. Impossible, breathed Tavara. Their military budget reports showed nothing like this. Zix Theta slowly sat down in his chair. It appears the humans have been keeping secrets. On Earth, President Laura Chen stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Behind her, screens displayed the same images of emerging fleets that had shocked the Galactic Council. For 3 years, she said, we played by their rules. We filed our reports. We attended their meetings. And while we talked, our people died. No more. She looked directly into the cameras. To our colonies on the frontier, help is coming. To our enemies, your free reign is over. To the Galactic Council, we tried it your way. Now watch how humans handle threats to our people. In space. Above Earth, Admiral Susan Hayes stood on the bridge of the United Earthship Resolute. Around her, officers worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. All fleet elements report ready, Admiral, said Commander Pete Williams. Susan nodded. Send to all ships. Today we stop asking for permission to defend ourselves. Set course. For the frontier. It's time to show the galaxy why you don't mess with humanity. As the human fleets jumped to hyperspace, heading for their besieged colonies, the representatives in the Galactic Council chamber could only watch in stunned silence. The humans had played the game of diplomacy for 3 years, patiently enduring every slight, every delay, every bureaucratic obstacle. Now they were done playing games. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth's children had spread across the stars, in the first place. Not because they were peaceful, not because they were patient, but because when pushed too far, humans had a way of pushing back that the universe had never quite seen before. Ambassador Jack Morrison's words would echo through the council chambers for years to come. We'll defend ourselves. Simple words. But in the mouths of humans, they carried the weight of civilizations. The bridge of the USS Resolute hummed with activity. Admiral Susan Hayes stood at the center watching the tactical display. 300 human warships moved in perfect formation through hyperspace. Their destination, the frontier colonies, under attack by the Krell. Admiral, we're receiving updates from our forward scouts, reported Commander Pete Williams. The Krell have blockaded the Epsilon Sigma system. 3 of our colonies are cut off. Susan studied the data flowing across her screens. How many Krell ships? 42 vessels, including 2 command carriers. They think they're dealing with our old patrol craft. A smile crossed Susan's face. They're about to get a surprise. Signal all ships. Prepare for combat drop in 15 minutes. Across the fleet, crews moved to battle stations. These weren't the lightly armed vessels the Galactic Council had authorized for human use. These were ships built in secret, using technology humanity had developed while pretending to be peaceful newcomers to the galactic stage. On Earth, President Laura Chen sat in the Situation Room with her advisors. Live feeds from the fleet filled the walls. "Madam President," said Defense Secretary Carl Patterson, "we're about to show our hand. Once the galaxy sees what we've built, there's no going back." Laura nodded. "Good. I'm tired of hiding. Our people need to know we can protect them." In the Epsilon Sigma system, Krell Commander Vextor lounged in his command chair. His fleet surrounded 3 human colony worlds, slowly squeezing the life from them. The humans would surrender soon, just as the others had. "Commander," called his sensor officer. "Hyperspace distortions detected. Multiple contacts incoming." Vextor sat up. "How many? 5, 10? Counting?" "Sir, I'm reading over 300 signatures." "Impossible. Check your..." Space itself seemed to tear open as the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Ship after ship appeared, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything the Krell had expected. "Open channel to the Krell fleet," Susan ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing Vextor's shocked face. "This is Admiral Susan Hayes of the United Earth Fleet. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from human space. This is your only warning." Vextor recovered quickly. "You dare threaten the Krell Dominion? We are warriors. We have conquered 100 worlds. 29 seconds. Your pathetic council won't save you now, humans. 20 seconds. And we're not asking the council for permission anymore." Vextor snarled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "All ships, attack formation. Show these upstarts why we rule this sector." Susan turned to her weapons officer. "Lieutenant Martinez, you may fire when ready." The space around Epsilon Sigma erupted in violence. But this wasn't the one-sided battle the Krell had anticipated. Human ships moved with precision, their weapons tearing through Krell shields like paper. "Impossible," Vextor screamed as his command ship shuddered under impact. "Their weapons? Where did they get such weapons?" On the human flagship, Pete Williams watched the tactical display. "Their shields are failing across the board. 17 Krell ships disabled in the first salvo." Susan nodded. "Target their weapon systems only. I want survivors to spread the word." The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it ended, every Krell ship hung dead in space, their weapons destroyed but their crews alive. "Open channel," Susan ordered. On screen, Vextor appeared again, his bridge dark except for emergency lighting. "This is what happens when you attack human colonies," Susan said calmly. "Your ships will be towed to the edge of our space. Tell your leaders that human territory is now off limits to the Krell. Any violation will be met with overwhelming force." As news of the battle spread across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. On the Krell homeworld, the High Command gathered an emergency session. 300 warships? Demanded Supreme Commander Caxnell. "Our intelligence said the humans had fewer than 50. "They lied," said Intelligence Chief Fractor. "They've been lying for years, building in secret, developing weapons we've never seen. Should we mobilize the Grand Fleet against this? We'd need 3 times our current forces to match what they showed today. And who knows what else they're hiding." On trading stations across the galaxy, the mood shifted overnight. Humans who had been seen as naive newcomers were suddenly viewed with wary respect. In Axios Prime's main marketplace, a Tellarite merchant named Grix watched nervously as human trader Lisa Cooper examined his goods. "Your pulse rifles," she said. "Yesterday they were priced at 500 credits. Today I see they're 700. Grix shifted his weight. "Supply and demand. Everyone wants weapons now." Lisa set the rifle down gently. "I understand. But humans have long memories, Grix. We remember who dealt fairly with us, and who tried to take advantage." After she left, another merchant approached Grix. "Are you insane? Haven't you heard what happened in Epsilon Sigma? They're just one species. One species that just crippled a Krell battle fleet in 17 minutes. Word is they're implementing something called economic warfare. 3 trading consortiums have already gone bankrupt for overcharging human customers. Back on Earth, crowds gathered in every major city to watch the news feeds. For 3 years, they had worried about family members on frontier colonies. Now, for the first time, they saw their military in action. President Chen addressed the planet. Today, we showed the galaxy that human lives are not negotiable. Our patience has limits. Our restraint is not weakness. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions ran continuously. Ambassador Zix Theta faced angry questions from panicked representatives. "You told us the humans were peaceful," accused the vexed delegate. "You said they were committed to diplomatic solutions." "They were," Zix Theta replied weakly. "They tried. For 3 years. And while they tried, they built a war fleet. They developed weapons that can crack our best shields. They played us all for fools." Ambassador Tavara spoke up. "Perhaps we should attempt to bring them back to negotiations." The chamber erupted in bitter laughter. "Negotiate?" scoffed the Krell ambassador. "They just destroyed our blockade fleet without losing a single ship. They negotiate from strength now, not from weakness." On the frontier, human forces moved swiftly. Within a week, they had cleared Krell forces from all human territories. Each battle was quick, decisive, and completely one-sided. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the Resolute, reading reports. "The Krell are requesting a ceasefire." Pete Williams chuckled. "Through the council?" "No. They're asking to speak with us directly." Susan allowed herself a small smile. "Interesting how quickly they learn. What about our colonists?" "All safe. The siege of New Montana ended yesterday. The colonists are calling you a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who got tired of watching our people die while bureaucrats talked." As the second week began, other species started approaching humanity directly, bypassing the council entirely. Small civilizations that had suffered under Krell aggression requested protection agreements. Trading partners sought new deals, this time offering fair terms, without the usual exploitation. The Galactic Council watched helplessly as their influence crumbled. Humanity hadn't declared war on the Council itself. They had simply made it irrelevant. "They're not conquering," observed Ambassador Tavara during one session. "They're not expanding their territory by force. They're just protecting their own and helping others who ask." Zix Theta slumped in his chair. "We created this situation. We thought their patience was weakness. We thought their diplomacy was naivety. We were wrong about everything. The galaxy had trembled when humanity turned its back on diplomacy. Now it was learning to adapt to a new reality. Humans were done talking, and they had the power to back up their decisions." The trading station Axios Prime floated in neutral space between 3 major galactic powers. Once a bustling hub of commerce and diplomacy, its corridors now carried a different energy. Conversations died when humans entered. Merchants quickly adjusted their prices to fair levels. Even the station's security forces stepped aside when human traders passed. In the station's main bar, Lisa Cooper sat alone at a table, reviewing shipping manifests on her datapad. 3 months ago, she would have been surrounded by other traders, sharing drinks and stories. Now, other species kept their distance, watching her with a mixture of fear and curiosity. A Varathi merchant named Kexival finally gathered enough courage to approach. His forearms fidgeted nervously as he stood before her table. May I join you, Trader Cooper?" Lisa looked up and smiled. "Of course. Have a seat." Kexival settled into the chair, his purple skin slightly pale. "I wanted to apologize for last month, the overcharging incident. You mean when you tried to sell me power cells at triple the standard rate?" "Yes. We all thought, well, we didn't expect." "You didn't expect us to notice? Or you didn't expect us to do anything about it?" Kexival's antennae drooped. "Both, I suppose. For 3 years, humans always paid whatever we asked. You never complained, never threatened, never showed our teeth?" Lisa finished. "That's what your people say about predators, isn't it? That we hide our teeth until we're ready to bite?" Something like that. Kexavoll hesitated. 3 of my trading partners have gone bankrupt since your people started what you call economic warfare. They thought they could continue exploiting human customers. Lisa set down her datapad. We offered fair trade from the beginning. We asked for reasonable prices. We tried diplomacy. Your people saw kindness as weakness. We know that now. The whole galaxy knows. Kexavoll leaned forward. Is it true what they're saying? About the Merchants Consortium? That they're filing for bankruptcy protection? Yes. They tried to coordinate a price-fixing scheme against human colonies. We simply stopped buying from them and established our own supply chains. In 3 weeks, we're adaptable. It's one of our species' traits. Across the station, in the security chief's office, Commander Zorak reviewed the latest reports. Crime rates had plummeted since humans had shifted their approach. The various criminal syndicates that had operated freely on Axios Prime were pulling back their operations. His deputy entered the office. Sir, the Crimson Syndicate is requesting a meeting. They want to discuss terms. Terms for what? For staying out of human-controlled sectors. They've lost 6 shipments this month, all legitimate interdictions by human patrols. Zorak laughed bitterly. For years, we begged the Galactic Council for help against these criminals. They told us to file reports. The humans have been policing their space for 3 months, and the syndicates are already negotiating surrender. In the human embassy on Earth, Ambassador Thompson, Jack Morrison's successor, met with representatives from 15 smaller civilizations. Each had come with the same request: protection agreements with humanity. The Krell have raided our worlds for generations, explained Ambassador Yilna of the Pentary system. The Council always promised help, but it never came. Your fleet cleared our space of raiders in 1 week. We don't want to become an empire, Thompson replied. We're not interested in conquering or controlling other species. We're not asking for conquest. We're asking for protection, fair trade, the kind of alliance the Council promised but never delivered. Another representative from the Draxian Republic stepped forward. We offer full military integration with your forces, our shipyards, our resources, in exchange for defending our people. The Council will not approve, began another ambassador. The Council's approval is no longer relevant, Yilna interrupted. They had their chance to lead. They chose bureaucracy over action. On the bridge of the USS Vigilant, patrolling the frontier, Captain Sarah Mitchell received another distress call, this time from a Tellarite mining colony. Pirates? She asked her communications officer. No, sir, Krell raiders. Looks like they're testing our borders again. Sarah sighed. Set course and prepare a boarding party. I want prisoners this time. People need to understand that raiding human-protected space has consequences. 20 minutes later, the Vigilant dropped out of hyperspace directly behind the Krell raiding party. The 3 Krell ships immediately tried to scatter. Target their engines only, Sarah ordered. I want them alive, but immobile. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. When it ended, 3 Krell ships drifted helplessly in space, their engines destroyed but crews unharmed. Sarah opened a channel. Krell vessels, prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. The boarding party found the Krell raiders surprisingly cooperative. As they were led to the Vigilance brig, their leader spoke to the human Marines. We didn't believe the stories. We thought the humans were still weak, still afraid to act. What stories? Asked Lieutenant James Ward, leading the boarding party. That humans patrol their entire frontier now. That you've destroyed every raiding party that's entered your space. That you've begun teaching other species your military tactics. All true, James confirmed. And it's not just our space anymore. We protect anyone who asks for our help. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, Senator Zixa Theta faced an increasingly empty hall. More representatives were absent each day, dealing directly with humans instead of going through council channels. We're becoming irrelevant, he confided to Ambassador Tavara. Every day more species align with Earth. They're creating their own alliance, their own trade networks, their own security agreements. Perhaps it's time we admitted our failure, Tavara suggested. The humans offered us partnership, and we treated them like subordinates. They asked for help and we gave them procedures. What do you suggest? That we ask them what we should have asked 3 years ago. How can we earn their trust again? On Earth, President Laura Chen addressed a gathering of her military advisors. The Krell are pulling back from our borders entirely, reported Admiral Hayes. Their government is seeking direct negotiations. The criminal syndicates? Withdrawing from human space. They've learned that we don't follow their old rules of engagement. And the Council? Still debating whether our withdrawal was procedurally correct? Admiral Hayes allowed herself a small smile. While they debate, we've established defense pacts with 37 systems. Laura nodded. Good. And what about the species still suffering under Krell aggression? We've had requests from 18 more worlds for protection agreements. If we accept them all, human protected space will be larger than the Krell Dominion. Accept them. But make our terms clear. Mutual defense, fair trade, and no tolerance for piracy or slavery. The Council won't like it. The Council had their chance to protect these people. They chose paperwork over action. Now we'll show them how it should be done. As the months passed, the galaxy continued to reshape itself around humanity's new approach. Species that had once looked down on humans as naive newcomers now sought their protection and partnership. The predators had stopped hiding their teeth, and the galaxy was learning that human fangs were very sharp indeed. Colonel Mike Johnson stood in the command center of Fortress Alpha, humanity's newest military installation built on the remains of a Krell forward base. The massive displays showed a map of known space, with human-protected territories marked in blue. 6 months ago, that blue had covered only Earth and its colonies. Now it spread across nearly a quarter of the galaxy. Another request, sir, reported Major Alice Turner, handing him a datapad. The Varian Confederation. They're offering complete mining rights to their asteroid belts in exchange for protection. Mike scrolled through the proposal. That makes 47 systems now. 48 if you count the Nexari, but they're still in preliminary talks. Sir, at this rate, we'll have more territory under protection than the original Galactic Council members combined. Territory isn't the goal, Major. Protection is. Mike set down the datapad. But you're right. We need to establish clear protocols for these agreements. We can't stretch ourselves too thin. In Earth's capital, President Laura Chen met with her expanded cabinet. The addition of the newly created Department of Galactic Relations reflected humanity's changing role in space. The Krell have formally requested peace talks, announced Secretary of State William Foster. Direct negotiations, not through the Council. What are their terms? They want to establish clear borders, trade agreements, and... Foster paused. They're asking to study our military tactics. Laura laughed. They want us to teach them how we beat them? Essentially, yes. They're calling it cultural exchange for mutual benefit. Defense Secretary Carl Patterson leaned forward. It's not a terrible idea. Former enemies becoming allies. Through shared knowledge. It's worked before in human history. What about the Council? Laura asked. They've sent 17 requests for us to return to the diplomatic table. Each more desperate than the last. On the frontier world of New Haven, formerly besieged by Krell forces, Governor Janet Mills welcomed the arrival of mixed-species defense forces. Human ships now patrolled alongside vessels from the Pentari system and 3 other allied worlds. I never thought I'd see the day, she told Commander Alex Rivera of the USS Houston. Krell raiders running from Pentari defenders trained by human instructors. The Pentari are quick learners, Alex replied. All these species are. They just needed someone to show them it was possible to stand up to bullies. The Council called it destabilizing. The Council called a lot of things destabilizing. Usually they meant something we can't control. In the Galactic Council chambers, the remaining representatives faced a crisis. Empty seats outnumbered occupied ones as more species chose to deal directly with humanity's new alliance. Senator Zixi Theta addressed the sparse gathering. The humans have responded to our latest communication. Will they return? Asked the Alteran representative hopefully. They've invited us to apply for membership in their protective alliance. Shocked silence filled the chamber. Apply? To join them? The Varathi ambassador's forearms waved in agitation. We are the Galactic Council. We don't apply to junior species. They're not a junior species anymore, Tavara pointed out quietly. They control or protect more systems than we do. Their military technology surpasses anything in known space. Their trade networks are more efficient than ours ever were. This is an insult. Zixtheta slumped in his chair. No, it's reality. We spent centuries building a bureaucracy. They spent 6 months building an alliance based on action. Members want results, not procedures. At Axios Prime, the changes were even more visible. Human security teams now worked alongside station personnel. Crime had dropped to near zero. Trade flourished as fair pricing became the norm. Merchant Velnash approached Lisa Cooper with genuine respect. Trader Cooper, I have a proposal for expanding our grain shipments to the outer colonies. Lisa reviewed his offer. These prices are very reasonable, Velnash. Almost too reasonable. Are you sure you can maintain profit margins? Volume will compensate. Besides, I've learned that long-term partnerships with humans are more valuable than short-term profits. Smart businessman. Lisa approved the contract. You know, a year ago, you wouldn't even speak to human traders unless you had to. A year ago, I was a fool. We all were. In deep space, Admiral Susan Hayes commanded joint fleet exercises. Human vessels maneuvered alongside ships from 20 different species, all learning humanity's combat doctrines. The Krell representatives will arrive tomorrow, Pete Williams informed her, for the treaty signing and the training program. They're sending their best commanders to learn from us. Susan shook her head in amazement. 6 months ago, they were trying to destroy our colonies. Now they want to be our students. Strength earns respect, Admiral. The Council never understood that. On the Krell homeworld, Supreme Commander Caxnell faced his war council. The humans have agreed to our terms. We will have peace, and they will share their military knowledge. Why would they train their former enemies? Asked a younger commander. Because they're not just building a military alliance. They're building a new galactic order. One based on strength, yes, but also on turning enemies into allies. It's remarkably clever. And the Council? Irrelevant. While they debated whether humans deserved a seat at their table, the humans built their own table. And everyone wants to sit at it. Back on Earth, Jack Morrison, now serving as a special advisor, met with President Chen. The Varani Empire has requested membership in our alliance, he reported. They're one of the original Council founding members. Laura raised an eyebrow. They're abandoning the Council. They say the Council no longer serves its purpose, that humanity has shown a better way. Have we? Sometimes I wonder if we're becoming the very thing we opposed. No, Jack said firmly. We're not conquering. We're not exploiting. We're protecting. Those who ask for protection, trading fairly with those who trade fairly, and standing up to those who prey on others. The Council forgot how to do that long ago. And now they want to join us. They all do. The question is, do we let them? Around. Human space construction continued on new defense stations, trade hubs, and training facilities. Each day brought new applications for alliance membership, new trade agreements, new partnerships. The galaxy hadn't just trembled when humanity turned from diplomacy. It had fundamentally restructured itself around human leadership. Not leadership through force, but through example. Not power through conquest, but through protection. The Human Protective Alliance, as it came to be known, grew stronger each day, and somewhere in the empty Galactic Council chambers, the remaining members finally understood. The humans hadn't destroyed the old order. They had simply built a better one. 1 year after humanity's dramatic exit from the Galactic Council, Ambassador Jack Morrison found himself walking through the same corridors he had left in anger. But this time was different. This time, he wasn't entering as a representative of a junior member species begging for help. He was arriving as the Human Protective Alliance's chief diplomatic advisor. The council chamber had changed. Where once 63 species had filled the seats, now only 12 remained. The rest had joined humanity's alliance. The remaining members had finally accepted reality and requested membership in the HPA. Senator Zix Theta stood as Jack entered. The reptilian diplomat looked older, his scales duller than a year ago. Ambassador Morrison, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Jack nodded politely. The Human Protective Alliance is always willing to discuss new membership applications. Senator, the words hung in the air. A year ago, Zix Theta had lectured Jack about proper procedures while human colonies burned. Now he was applying to join the organization humans had built. Please, Zix Theta gestured to a seat at the center of the room. We have much to discuss. Instead of taking the offered chair, Jack walked to the seat traditionally reserved for the Council's military advisor and sat down. The message was clear. We recognize our failures, Zix Theta began. When humanity came to us, you brought energy, ideas, and a willingness to act. We responded with bureaucracy and delays. Jack listened, without expression. Your species has accomplished in 1 year what we couldn't in centuries. You've brought order to frontier space, ended the Krell raids, and created fair trade networks. More importantly, you've protected those who needed protection. We did what was necessary, Jack replied. We want to learn from you, said Ambassador Tevara. The old ways clearly don't work in the modern galaxy. Jack leaned forward. The Human Protective Alliance has requirements for membership. First, all members contribute to collective defense. No more hiding behind bureaucracy while others fight. The remaining council members nodded. Second, fair trade practices. No exploitation of developing worlds. No price manipulation. No trade monopolies. Agreed, said Zix Theta. Third, direct action against threats. When pirates attack, when slavers operate, when colonies are threatened, we respond immediately. No committees, no debates, no procedural delays. Several ambassadors shifted uncomfortably, but they all nodded. Finally, Jack continued, all members must contribute to protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The strong help the weak. It's that simple. Zix Theta looked around at his fellow council members, then back at Jack. We accept these terms. When can we begin the application process? It's already begun. Jack smiled slightly. This meeting is your first test. A year ago, you would have demanded we follow your procedures. Today, you're willing to follow ours. That's growth. Meanwhile, at the HPA headquarters on Earth, Admiral Susan Hayes briefed President Laura Chen on the military situation. The Varkani Confederacy has launched attacks on 3 peaceful systems, Susan reported. They think because we're busy integrating new members, we won't respond quickly. Laura frowned. They're testing us? Seems like it. They're about to learn why that's a mistake. How long do you need? The rapid response fleet can be there in 6 hours. Do it. And Susan? Make sure the response is educational. 6 hours later, 50 human warships appeared in the contested systems. The Varkani attacks crumbled within an hour. Unlike the bureaucratic Galactic Council, the HPA's response was swift and decisive. On the bridge of the USS Resolute, Susan opened a channel to the Varkani flagship. This is Admiral Hayes. Your forces will withdraw immediately or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to comply. The Varkani commander appeared on screen, his 6 eyes blinking rapidly. You cannot simply appear and demand 4 minutes, 50 seconds. The Galactic Council rules state, we're not the Galactic Council. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. The Varkani ships began retreating within 2 minutes. Back on Earth, the integration of former Galactic Council members proceeded smoothly. These elder species brought centuries of knowledge and diplomatic experience, while humanity provided military strength and decisive leadership. It's ironic, Jack Morrison told President Chen during a private meeting. A year ago, they treated us like children. Now they're eager students. Pride comes before education, Laura replied. At least they're willing to change. Some are. Others are just afraid of being left behind. Fear can be a good motivator. At training academies across human space, officers from dozens of species learned human military tactics, not just combat strategies, but the philosophy behind them. Protect the weak, respond decisively to threats, and turn enemies into allies. Whenever possible, Commander Sarah Mitchell of the USS Pittsburgh watched as a class of mixed-species cadets practiced fleet maneuvers. "Remember," she told them, "strength without discipline is chaos. Power without purpose is tyranny. We fight to protect, not to conquer." A young Krell officer raised a clawed hand. "But Commander, how do you decide when to show mercy and when to use force?" "Good question. We use the minimum force necessary to end the threat. If an enemy surrenders, we accept. If they attack again, we respond harder. Most learn quickly." In the trading hubs, economic transformation continued. Fair pricing and honest dealing had replaced the exploitation that once characterized galactic commerce. Surprisingly, many merchants discovered they made more profit through volume and repeat business than they ever had through price gouging. The criminal syndicates that had once operated freely found themselves hunted across the galaxy. The HPA didn't recognize their traditional safe zones or diplomatic immunity claims. Pirates and slavers learned that human space meant human rules. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, the ceremony to formally dissolve that ancient body and merge it into the Human Protective Alliance took place. Representatives from over 100 species attended. Senator Zixit Theta stood at the podium for his final speech as council leader. For 1,000 years, this council governed through discussion and debate. We believed that process was more important than results. The humans showed us our error. He paused, looking at the mixed crowd of species. They offered us partnership, and we gave them procedures. They asked for help, and we formed committees. They begged us to save their colonists, and we debated. Jurisdiction. The chamber was silent. Today we dissolve the Galactic Council not in defeat, but in recognition that a better way exists. The Human Protective Alliance acts where we debated. It protects where we discussed. It builds where we merely planned. Jack Morrison stepped forward as Zixit Theta concluded. "The HPA isn't perfect. We'll make mistakes, but we'll face them head-on, fix them, and keep moving forward. The galaxy doesn't need endless debate. It needs action, protection, and leadership." Applause filled the chamber, a sound that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Later, as the ceremony ended, Jack found himself standing where he had made his dramatic exit 1 year before. Admiral Hayes joined him. "Thinking about that day?" she asked. "About how much has changed. We didn't conquer the galaxy, Susan. We just showed them a better way. Sometimes that's all it takes." Outside, ships from dozens of species patrolled, together, protecting trade routes and colony worlds. Former enemies worked side by side. The weak found protection, the strong found purpose, and the galaxy found peace. The humans hadn't abandoned diplomacy after all. They had simply proven that sometimes the most diplomatic thing you can do is show exactly why diplomacy is preferable to the alternative. As Jack Morrison had said a year ago, "We'll defend ourselves." The galaxy had learned that when humans made that promise, they meant it, and everyone was better for it.